Well, this is an honor. Todd Nuke'em here at X96, and I've got Mr. Dave Gahan, who's joining us. Welcome to my home. This is kind of weird, isn't it?
Well, yeah, and no, of course. Like we've all been doing this now for I don't know, 18 months or something. If we're over the Zoom, it is a little odd, but at the same time, I'm grateful for it because being able to stay in touch with friends and family and stuff like that too.
How's this been, for you these last few months? It's just been a little unusual.
Actually, it feels like there's some change happening now, and I feel more, been vaccinated and all that stuff, and all my family are vaccinated and friends and everything. So, getting out and about more. I guess there's still that in the back of your mind. It's that uneasy feeling of like, we're still not entirely sure what's happening.
Yeah. But so before all of this happened, you got together with Soulsavers and really laid down pretty much the whole Imposter album. When did this get recorded? Talk about that.
Well, we first started talking about doing it. Yeah, it was the beginning of 2019, and we managed to get together the whole band in a studio, Shangri-La Studios out in Malibu, Rick Rubin's place. He was taking a break for a month and gave us the studio to use because he wasn't going to be around. He was around actually a couple of times. I saw him, but I think it's hard for him to leave that place, and I can understand it because it's really an amazing place. So we managed to get the whole band together that had previously worked on 2 records before with myself and Rich Machin, Soulsavers, and James Walburn was, for me, the new guitar player that I hadn't worked with before, and he was amazing. Him and Tony really played off each other. So we got together for pretty much the month of November, and we did a lot of pre-production, actually, in terms of, for myself, just really doing my homework with these songs and revisiting them, listening to the original versions, and sort of finding a place where I finally was in my own little studio in New York, singing them down like a set, with my own voice and like finding my own place on them. So once I got to the studio, I was kind of ready to do that. And the idea was to track a song a day, like as a live band.
Well, and this album for me, because I mean, you have songs on here from, Bob Dylan and PJ Harvey and all these artists that I'm aware of, but a lot of these tracks, I don't really know the songs. So it's like I'm discovering these songs through your interpretation.
Right. That's, what, that so it wasn't really a plan, but I'm really happy to hear that because all the songs in their different forms and the different artists that sung them over the course of the last, whatever, sometimes as far as back as 1950, they are as relevant to me today as they were when I first heard them. And sometimes that's the voice, it's the voice that's singing them and carrying the song, that it had some deep impression on me. And then I, delved into the whoever the artist was, whoever the musician, singer, songwriter, band, and explored what they were doing. And for me, a song like Strange Religion by Mark Lanegan or Desperate Kingdom of Love by PJ Harvey sits right alongside, Dark End of the Street by James Carr, or, Nina Simone, her voice, me hearing her singing Lilac Wine, or Dylan, Not Dark Yet. It's like, they tell these stories, sometimes for me it's just literally through the sound and of the voice, or and lyrically it's not always what hits me first. It's the melody and it's the truthfulness that I hear in the voice.
there's this through the whole album, to me, to my ears, there's this like overall, I guess I would describe it as like this overall sort of like warmth. Like it reminds me of, like, I was raised on my dad listening to like a lot of classic country from the 60s and 50s. And so I'm familiar with some of those things. And I feel some of that like warmth, especially in Where My Love Lies Asleep.
Oh, yeah.
Like I want that song to come out of an AM radio in my dad's old pickup truck. Like that would be the way to hear that.
That's, I mean, I take that as actually a compliment because, yeah, that's the way this should be heard. It's like heard as a complete piece of work. And even though, yeah, you got like Gene Clark there, for instance, which we refer to as the quiet bird, wrote some beautiful songs with that kind of, that sort of country Americana sort of twang to it. Yeah. I kind of fall very easily into that place. I don't know why or what that is, but ever since I was a kid, and it might come, like you said, from my father. Growing up, when I was a little kid, he was in a big band, like a big jazz band, like a sort of, full piece, band, and he played clarinet and saxophone and stuff. So often I'd hear music coming out, from his record player, I guess, or he would just be practicing in his bedroom, clarinet and sax. And so there's this, I don't know, maybe that's where I would, that idea of a big band sort of playing together, and me being the singer on top of it, maybe where that first began for me.
How does it feel to be able to like step outside of your normal traditional vocal role in the band to doing these songs as a solo with these different musicians and all these arrangements?
Well, it's a lot of fun. I mean, it's really, I'm very, blessed to be able to do both things and explore these other places that, for me, takes me also out of my sort of comfort zone, of course, which is, being in my band in Depeche and, for all these years, I guess 40 years now, with my friends, Martin and Fletch, and, we make these records together and tour, and we've been doing this for years now, and we're still finding that we're still trying to make that great record, whatever that is, we haven't stopped trying to do that. And it's the same for me with the Soulsavers albums that I've done now, this being the third, where I get to kind of find a part of myself that maybe I don't get to find within my band, sometimes. But in saying that, having sung Martin's songs, for instance, for many, many years, and interpreting his, ideas, and, writing a song is a very sort of personal thing. And I think quite often for me, I don't even know, when I'm writing my own songs, I don't know what it's about or where it's coming from or why I'm writing down this particular phrase in this moment alongside this melody. I don't know why that is, but often later on, years later, sometimes I sort of understand the song better somehow. And I think with these songs, with Imposter, because a lot of them have been with me for so long, I feel that I could kind of wear that jacket, if you like. I sort of they feel quite natural to me.
The a lot of the vocals on Imposter, I mean, we sort of get to hear like this sort of different vulnerability in your voice on some of the different tracks, like the arrangement of Always on My Mind. God, it's just almost like haunting to me. Like that's a whole different way to experience, because around here, like for me, I knew the Willie Nelson version of that song, and then like Pet Shop Boys did it in the 80s. And then to hear it this way is like hearing the song completely brand new.
Well, that's again, thank you for saying that. That's what we were trying to achieve. And the way for me was to get out of my own headspace of what visualization of Elvis or Willie Nelson or, and find my own place with it and try and find some truth in the words and express myself. It's to me, it's like a song that's really asking for redemption and forgiveness and expressing your love to another in a way that, for me, was easier to do through the song than actually in real time.
Were these songs, because it sounds like when you listen to this thing, it just sounds like there's a band in my living room playing live. I mean, it sounds like you weren't doing a lot of studio trickery. Like, you just laid these things down.
That's pretty much what it is. I mean, we stacked some of the vocals in terms of the backing vocals. I mean, it's sometimes they're so integrally important to what the sound of the Soulsavers record is. But we've done 3 records together now, myself and with TJ and Janet and Wendy singing with me. So we've created this kind of chemistry together, I think, that, takes time. And, we've kind of got to this place where it feels very natural. So yeah, this record was tracked, in a way that I guess, as live as it can be these days. But we performed all these what you're hearing are performances of what happened on a daily basis in the studio. The sequencing that we recorded was slightly different, but pretty quickly I was imagining the sequencing, and I realized how important that was becoming as we recorded each track.
Will you at some point take this out on the road and do any live performances?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sort of singing through the songs again myself now because we're all meeting together in London in a few weeks, and we're going to start some rehearsals. And yeah, we're planning some sort of special performances of Imposter in its entirety from start to finish, and hopefully we'll be able to pull that off.
Yeah, it's a different world out there.
Really, yeah.
The soulful vibe on the rendition that you did of "Held My Baby Last Night." I mean, you contrast that with the vulnerable lyrics of "Always on My Mind." Like it's there's just such a range to experience.
Yeah, I mean, that's really where I can go with a song. And, it's interesting that you bring up "Held My Baby Last Night," because I feel like where that is and where we placed it in the record was important, because, I felt that the 12 songs was like this short set that you'd see, a 45-hour long set of a band on a stage. And I always kind of that's how I sort of performed the songs, was with that in mind. And "Held My Baby" is right where it needs to be in that set. If you were there and watching this band, it's like, I need something right now. That kind of blows it out of the water. And then it's the record really shows the range of that's what the band can do together. And then we can take you to this other place, which becomes very intimate.
It's a record that I want to hear, in analog. I want to play it on vinyl. So hopefully it
That's
gets
coming.
That way.
Yeah. We went to great pains to make sure we booked those pressing plants almost a year ago, because the vinyl sort of gatefold sleeve and be able to read the sleeve notes and look at the artwork and all that was important, because Rich and I are both from that school of having known that and grown up with that, of how important that was as part of the process of listening to that record, growing up, and still is today for me. I'm out here in my place in Montauk at the moment, and in New York, and I have a record player here, an old Macintosh, and I have vinyl out here, and I have one in the city too, a different setup there. But like I've become, again, over the course of the last 10 years or something, started collecting vinyl again. It was, in this last couple of years as well, like a year and a half or something, going through it, like to be able to sit and just listen to a record and put it on and sit there in the morning with a cup of coffee and get up and have to turn it over to listen to the second side. And, it became, again, really important to me.
It's like a reintroduction to the art of what an album is, instead of just a bunch of random songs,
Yeah, I mean, we all listen to, I do too. I got my phone here, I listen to music like that as well, put a little playlist on or whatever. But that whole experience of listening to a record and making a record that has a start and a finish and to side A and side B, that is still what I kind of use as my template of listening to good music.
Quickly, before we have to wrap up, I mean, you've got this collection of covers. Are there a couple of songs out there that you're thinking, damn it, I should have done that one?
Yeah, there'll always be that. I mean, we always saw this as like, to be honest, our list was huge when we first started trying to whittle it down. There was a couple of other songs as well that didn't make this album that were really good, actually. I don't know. Maybe there's another part to this. Maybe this is volume 1. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Very good. Imposter, Dave Gahan and Soulsavers comes out in November. I believe it's on the 12th, so look for that. And Dave, thanks for spending the time with us, man.
Yeah, man. Thanks, Todd. It was nice talking to you, man. Thanks.
Thank you. Stay safe.
You too. Thank you.